Alright, this is going to be a video about area of circles. This is going to go along with the lesson that we learned today, as well as the homework on page 300 through 301. So first, let's just look at a simple problem where we're just looking for the area of one circle. So here's an example where we've got a circle and then we've got a diameter of 13 inches. Well, what you want to first be able to identify is that it doesn't give us the radius, it gives us the diameter. And we're going to use this formula every single time, A equals pi r squared. So the first thing that you want to do every single time is you want to identify what the radius is of each circle. So since this gives us the diameter, we want to look at the formula of finding the right radius whenever we have the diameter, which is the diameter divided by 2. Now, if you can do this in your head, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But sometimes you're going to need to go ahead and top and bottom out like we're going to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the diameter, which is 13, divided by 2. And whenever we do top and bottom out, we determine that our diameter, or our radius, I'm sorry, is 6.5. Okay? So now that we've figured out what our radius is, we want to go ahead and plug it into our formula. So pi is 3.14, and then our radius is 6.5 squared. Okay? Now I'm seeing a lot of people with this square either dropping it all together and multiplying pi times the radius, or people multiplying the radius times 2. But I want you to understand that this square right here means 6.5 times 6.5. So whatever number is here, you're going to multiply that times itself. Okay? So here we have 6.5 times 6.5. So whenever we go over here, we stack them. 5 times 5 is 25. This is 32. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36 plus 3 is 39. And then we're just going to add. So 5, 2, 12, and 4. Whoops, excuse me. Now remember, we want to go up here and we want to count how many spaces are behind our decimal. This is 1 and 2. So we're going to start from the end and we're going to move it over twice. 1, 2. So 6.5 times 6.5 is 42.25. But do not forget to bring this down. We still have to multiply everything times pi. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 42.25 times 3.14. 42.25 times 3.14. Okay? 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 2 is 8. 9, 10. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 is 9. And 4 times 4 is 16. We're done with the 4, so we're bringing down a 0. And since we're multiplying everything times 1, I'm just going to copy this number down right here. Make things a little bit easier. Bring down 2 zeros, and now we're going to multiply everything times 3. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 3 times 2 is 6. And 3 times 4 is 12. So now we're going to add everything together. Now, I want everybody to take a really close look at this, because we are multiplying a lot of numbers together, and I know that I said this in class today, but you've got to be very careful with how you're lining these numbers up. And if you notice that if I were to cover all this up, you would see that all of this is in a straight line. Do you see how careful I'm being by lining everything up? If you do not normally line your numbers up that well, then I want you to go ahead and I want you to draw your lines all the way through, because you've got to make sure that you're multiplying the correct numbers and you're adding the correct numbers together. Okay? So now let's start adding. So this is 0. This is 5. So 5 plus 2 is 7. Plus 9 is 16. 7 plus 2 is 9, plus 6 is 15. 16. 6 plus 4 is 10. 11, 12. 2 plus 1 is 3. And 1. Okay. Now before we add our decimal, I'm going to go back here. I have 1, 2. And then I also have 1, 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. That means I'm going to go over 4 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my answer is area equals 132.7. And that is, well, I threw away my problem. Oh no, it's inches, I'm sorry. So inches squared. Whenever you write your problem, I want you to make sure and include your unit and square it, because I am going to take off on that tomorrow. Okay? Now this was just a normal area of a circle problem where we just use a formula, we plug in the numbers, and we solve. Now let's look at one that's a little bit different. This one's going to be kind of like example 3 that we did in your notes. Okay? Let's look at this example here. This one says the sides of a square field are 12 meters. A sprinkler in the center of the field sprays a circular area with a diameter that corresponds to a side of the field. How much of the field is not reached by the sprinkler? Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. So after you read your problem, I want you to go back and I want you to draw a picture. I am very visual. I know most of you are. So once you get it all in, let's go back and let's start with your picture. So the first sentence says the sides of a square field are 12 meters. So let's go ahead and let's draw our field. And it says that they're 12, so all 4 of them are going to be 12 inches. Or 12 meters, I'm sorry. Okay? It says a sprinkler in the center, so just like our radio station, our sprinkler is going to be a dot. It says sprays a circular area with a diameter that corresponds to a side of the field. So this is the area that which our sprinkler sprays. Okay? And it says it's got a diameter that corresponds with the sides. So if all of my sides are 12, what is my diameter? My diameter is also 12. Okay? So now what we want to do, so since we figured out all of our current measurements, we need to solve. So what we need to do is we need to find the area of the circle and the area of the square. Because what we're trying to figure out is, if you look, it says how much of the field is not reached by the sprinkler. So we're trying to figure out what the area is of all this space right here. Okay? So we're going to follow the steps that we did in example 3. So first, let's find the area of the circle. It gives us the diameter, but we need to figure out what the radius is. We know that the radius is half the diameter, so that is 6. Okay? So that's area equals pi r squared. Okay? Pi is 3.14. My radius is 6, and 6 times 6 equals 36, so we're going to multiply that times 36. Okay? So whenever I stack it, sorry, I was trying to find a place to work all this out, times 36. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 1 plus 2 is 8, and 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. So now I'm going to add these together. So I have 4, 10, 13, 11, and I have 2 spaces behind, so that is area equals 113.04, and that's my circle. Now let's find the area of the square. Well, my area of the square is base times height, which is 12 times 12, which is what we know, 144. Okay? So now that we have the area of both places, we're just going to subtract. So 144 minus 113. And now we're just going to solve. So I can't take from 0, so I've got to come all the way over here and borrow from my 4. So 10 minus